So we will consider this as a sort of a very rough summary of the sixth chapter, the chapter of accomplishment. The next chapter is the chapter on the, I don't know, absolute truth, or while we were talking about the earlier chapters, we did already mention a lot of the elements of this chapter. This is, of course, the chapter that talks about the absolute truth. I think we will just begin this year. And the rest of it, we will have to just again continue some other time. There may be people who really want to complete the study of Mahayana Alankara Sutra, this Shastra. I'm sorry, because of I don't know, my laziness and busyness and all that. It's really, really dragging. How long did it take now? It's 4 years, is it? 3 years? Okay. One thing, this text, this Shastra, is also considered by many scholars as one of the important texts for, sometimes we refer them as a Chittamatra school, other times we call them Yogacharya school. I think this school, Yogacharya school, became kind of a very respected in China, maybe during the Tang dynasty. I don't know. I think this is just my guess because I don't know so much. I think people like Tang monk, what's his name? The one who traveled to India, Xuanzang. Yes, yeah, like Xuanzang may be endorsing this sort of this school a lot. A very illustrious school. So many amazing people. In Tibet, that school did not have too much, not that strong presence. In Tibet, the Prasangika Madhyamika took, somehow the Prasangika Madhyamika became very popular. There are, this, of course. And by the way, I'm using the commentary written by a great Nyingma master called Mipham Rinpoche. And here and there, he talks about how these two schools actually are very complementary to each other, which is very interesting. Because many times, traditionally, there's a lot of argument between these two. Very, when I say use the word argument or debate, not like, it's not like worldly argument. It's very, very enriching and informative. Argument is a very, very cherished and valued in the Indian thinking. Indians have always been argumentative, I guess, from a taxi fare all the way to what's the nature of the mind, like what's the nature of the whole phenomena. I always tease my Indian friends. I guess I can understand the Indian. They have suffered a lot through the foreign invasion with a different set of values and thinking. But India had amazing thinkers, amazing ones. This is a country that gave us zero. The concept zero. India, yeah, I think India gave us zero. India also, the zero in Indian language, they call it shunyata. So interesting, yeah. India also gave us a ruler. Incredible. And then, of course, the Buddha, the non-duality. These are... I'm just mentioning the Chittamatra because this is a school that is worthy to explore. This is so good. I know the Tibetan can be very sectarian and very, very chauvinist. I guess that's just a human nature. Many times you will hear from the Tibetan scholars, their tone is like, oh, Chittamatra, sort of lower, sort of the other people, But if you objectively study and approach, no, I may be wrong, but even from the population point of view, I think there are more Chittamatan than Madhyamikan. I mean, almost whole China, right? I mean, the whole Chinese Buddhist and Japan. Like there's even a temple, Chittamatan temple in Japan, like Kiyomizu Dera. I don't know whether you have ever been. It's so beautiful. You must go. Of course, now it's become a tourist site. So sad. But there is a temple called Kiyomizu Dera. It's the way the Chittamatan, they're so sophisticated, so sophisticated. Their arguments are so sophisticated. They are the people who actually really taught us that subject and object are simultaneous. There is no independent object that exists prior to the subject. Probably not too surprising now, but we are talking about 2,400 years ago. So that's a lot. their nuances can be different from Madhyamikan. For instance, Madhyamikan loves to talk about the true truth, as I did, like this morning and yesterday, because I have such a strong Madhyamikan philosophical training. So I end up always using their Madhyamikan nuances. But the Chittamatra has their own nuances, which is they're really good, which I'm about to say just at the beginning of this chapter. They talk about 3 characters, so really good. And for this, I will use the classic Chittamatra example, which, yeah, Tachala Druduzimba, a stripe rope. In the middle of this room, there's a stripe rope, not too much light. You are a frantic person. You have been terrorized by a reptile snake in Rajasthan somewhere, I don't know, Africa. You just returned from Africa. You are still going through some sort of a trauma. You walk into this room, you see snake. You thought you saw, okay, you thought your projection, there's a snake. That is called imputed phenomena, according to Chittamatra school. Samsara, mundane world. And then somebody switches off, switch on the light. No more snake. Right? So there's that stage. Meanwhile, the striped robe has never been a snake, even for a moment. And therefore, striped robe don't understand the relief of not being the snake. It's just a striped robe. What is going on here? See, this is how the Chittamatra categorize. This is how they look at the world. Instead of two truths of categorizing the phenomena, they try to analyze the world or the phenomena of the outer and the inner both based on this, what we call tsinyi sum, which is three characteristic. The fact that the last bit I was mentioning, the striped rope is never stained by the snake, therefore it cannot be stained by the relief of no more snake. This is an important one. That is how a Madhyamikan would use the word ultimate truth. Okay. Again, here, one thing you need to know. When we talk about these things, we are not talking about some sort of externally existing ultimate truth. Never. Especially for the Chittamatra. It's all your mind. Okay, so very practically and very, this is how the Chittamatras sing. Okay, this mind, there's this mind, cognizance, simple cognizance. When I say simple cognizance, I'm talking about unstained by distinctions. Like if I'm thinking about a coffee, that's a thought, that's a mind. But that's like the snake. You understand? That's like the snake. But we are not talking about that. We are talking about just a pure cognizance, unstained by coffee, pizza, pencil, book, no distinctions, just a pure cognizance. Which is like the base of all the phenomena of samsara and the nirvana. When all the stain of the samsara, or the dualistic stain of samsara and the nirvana, good, bad, all of this, when those are all collapsed, again, please don't keep on, please don't think that that kind of state is like some sort of a coma state or a vegetable state. We are talking about not caught, not entangled, not occupied by the game. Remember we talked yesterday, the game? Like, I don't know if I may, a very bad way of putting this, but you constantly play the game, but because of your awareness that this is just a game, you are not caught by the game. You play, you enjoy. Why would you play? To benefit others and to benefit yourself. This stainless mind, you can is what Chittamatra path, or the path of the Bodhisattva is trying to perfect, or put it another way, you try to awaken to that state. Okay, I think we will have to sort of pause this here, because there has been some requests for transmissions, but I will let three questions maybe. We don't have much time. Yes, please.
Good morning, Rinpoche. I have a question over here. It is with regards to yesterday you mentioned about tolerance towards shunyata. So can you elaborate on that?
To annoy all the Buddhists, I will quote Bhagwan Shri Rajneesh. He said, Buddhist no is a very special no. Because in the Buddhist no, there is a million yes. I think that's a bit of a tolerance of shunyata, emptiness. Okay, another one?
Rinpoche, may I ask a question slightly related to Vajrayana?
Okay.
So it seems that Ngondro practices, the preliminary practices, have the serious in counting, the persistence seems very solid and very much is there. And higher practices like Dzogchen is more like balancing, it's there and it's not there. If we practice the Ngondro like, it's a sand castle, right? So will this work? As
if you practice Ngondro,
as if we are playing a sand castle on a beach.
It will work even faster. Yes, of course. Okay. The last one, please.
Okay. I want to ask if we want to help people with depression, and after all the things that we learned these few days, what does Buddha has matters? Yesterday, I caught something that you say, which I find is useful. Basically, you are saying that, when the negative thoughts come to you, you should just ignore it. You don't play the game with the negative thoughts. But any other methods, because I'm dealing with people who are quite severe, already on medications and suicidal. So any others sort of teaching?
This watching the thought or the emotion, this is a very popular one, and is kind of a risk-free, sort of safe one. So we usually do this. We it's quite a good one, and also it's economical. It's really. Then there are so many, too many. Watching the breath. This is a really big one, because the breath is so related to the emotion. The depression, I guess, is very related to emotion. Now, if the breath is too subtle, then the first chapter of the mindfulness, which is watching the form, the body, your body, you understand? Just the form. That's supposedly really, really good, but I don't think people have patience. The Zen people really encourage this. Right? Zen master would say, okay, go and sit there for 9 years, like this. But maybe not 9 years, but at least 9 minutes. Just sitting, doing nothing. You are not allowed to do anything. You are not allowed to scratch. You are not allowed to yawn. You are not allowed to answer, of course not answer your phone, anything. You just sit. For 9 minutes, you just sit. This is your discipline. You are not allowed to do anything. You just sit. So what it does is it forces you to come back to this body. Because the depressed and emotional people, they go out too much, out of this. Oh, if only this, if only that, but this, but that, going out too much. So coming back. So many methods. And watching feeling of all kinds, physical feelings as very, very ordinary as, like when you blink your eyelids, touch, and there's a feeling. Watch that. And then being aware of phenomena, such as you are wearing a spectacle at the moment, there has to have some weight, Are you aware of this? Just watching the weight of the spectacle, or the shirt, or the scarf you are wearing, so on and so forth. Like that. Okay, I'm going to read the...
Rinpoche, please spare me one clarification.
Okay.
I'm of weak health. Sister, could you help me?
She has a question written down, so I'm helping to read. Thank you for the talk. You are a very respectable teacher, and what you are saying carry weight. With regards to tattooing Buddha images on the body, can you clarify or give me more guidelines, as people may misunderstood or abuse what you have said, thinking you give the green light to tattooing?
Yes.
While Thailand bans it.
What?
While Thailand bans this, so my concern is people may tattoo at inappropriate body parts. Can you give more advice, please? Thank you.
Yes. I appreciate your concern very much.
It's a very beautiful art, especially
Yeah, I understood.
Japanese. Yes.
Yes, I'm going to answer this. So, I think I have always been okay. It's like this. It's really. I think I've been talking about this past 3 days. Many times, okay, I think it's just me being Buddhist, okay, Buddhist jihadi, you can call it. I want Buddhism to grow. I want Buddhism to flourish. Especially, I want the young people to come to Buddhism. I want them to, because it will benefit them, not because, we want to have so many Buddhists, but, you look at these young people and they're suffering a lot. They're cutting themselves. They're, scratching themselves. They're hanging themselves. There's all this. And then but the young people, when they go to Buddhist, monks and nuns especially, the first thing they hear is, you can't do this, you can't do that, you must sit, you must shave your hair, you do this. So it bores them to death. And, Buddhism is archaic. And then Buddhism also gets so entangled with the local sort of hang-ups, like the Confucius values, the Abrahamic values now. I totally understand your sentiment. I mean, I'm already in a lot of troubles. If you only look at some of my social media interaction, you will know that there are a lot of, especially Buddhists, who really cannot understand why I say certain things. There are, there has been a lot of, emphasis on vegetarian, which I totally, spiritually, not only spiritually I support, but even from the health point of view, it's really not a wise thing to do. Eat those meat that most of these cows has been eating plastics, so bad. But I'm thinking like this, okay, there are a lot of people out there who really like Buddha, and they also like a little bit of Dharma, but they sort of, wow, Buddha, but they can't really behave themselves. Okay, they like to have their whiskey, they like to eat their dumplings. I don't know. So if we emphasize so much on, only way to become Buddhist is by being vegetarian, probably you are out of 10, you are missing 9. And this is my concern. So this is totally my own being Buddhist jihadi. Okay, now coming back to the tattoo. I know, as I've already said, this is going to stir some of the more sober, well-behaving Buddhist generation. But I don't know, I would still, even if I do not encourage, I will close one of my eye if younger generations are doing this and sort of secretly sort of, fine, it's okay, go and do it. Because at the end of the day, I would rather have this kid thinking about compassion, wisdom, paramitas, and like the non-duality. No tattoo or yes tattoo. Who really cares about this? Buddhists do much more worse than this kind of thing. It's not. As a Buddhist, most Buddhists are not the most ideal, moralistically ideal, and whatever. You understand? There's a lot of there's a lot of things that a Buddhist should not do. Maybe if you are really mixing sort of cultural, moral issues. Buddhists should not be playing mahjong, Buddhists should not be playing cards, Buddhists should not be listening to some of this, strange hip-hop, rap music. Wow. Next thing, we will have some old generation like myself. We will be the last generation. No young people are going to come. And this is my concern. That's it. That's basically it. And that doesn't mean that I'm sort of modifying Buddhism. Because if I look at the sutras and the shastras really care about how much you know about emptiness, how much you know about impermanence, how much you know about emotion. They don't really care about politically correct things or, stuff like this. But anyway, I'm glad that you have this concern. But I would like to, especially there's a lot of Sangha here who are taking the roles of teaching. I would really strongly request the Sangha here, especially those who are taking the role of teaching. I think it's really important because I was just speaking to some young Singaporeans yesterday. I think because especially like Tibetan Khenpos and Rinpoches and Lamas, we are so trained in the monastic situation. So all we know is about the monastery life and the book so when we teach the suffering, we only know the suffering that's written in the book. You understand? So when we teach to the public, we teach as if we are teaching to monks and nuns. And I think it really doesn't work. It doesn't really work. For example, I've been telling to some of my colleague Rinpoches, saying, okay, there's something called Four Noble Truth, right? Four Noble Truth. Okay, historically, first thing Buddha said is know the truth, then abandon the cause of the truth, so on and so forth. But I think maybe we should really change the strategy. Maybe we should not talk about the suffering at all in the beginning. Young people don't want to hear this. They want to have fun. Then when the young people come and say, hey, look, you should have fun. I can even tell you to have more fun. Of course. Then they'll be interested. So what do you give them? Shunyata, non-duality. They will understand because the young people are quite smart. Then they will, non-duality. It's there, but it's not there. This is good. It gives them some sort of confidence. And then they will say, okay, how do I get this? Because they all want fun, right? Then you insert the truth of suffering. You understand? Then you have to, you see. Okay. So I think we will, this is sort of the end of this year's gathering to sort of visit this classic text, Mahayana Shastra. I would like to just bring, I just want to inform you something. I think the world is changing a lot. People are now talking about and changing fast. And not all changes are bad. Not all changes are good. Of course, most of these changes are intended to ease our suffering, but probably that's not going to happen because the root of the cause of the suffering is dualistic mind. if our machines and I don't know, if the scientists could find a solution to reduce the dualistic mind, I will be the first one to volunteer to be the guinea pig. More likely, this is not going to happen for the time being. So, as the world is changing, I think we need to also prepare. As a Buddhist, we need to prepare. We need to really think about it. I mean, if you go to Japan, Kyoto talks about having about 10,000 temples, monasteries. The biggest one is Daitokuji. It's really, really big, Zen temple. They barely have about 40 monks. In Kyoto, I'm sure you know, many monasteries are on sale. Very cheap, by the way. Really. But keep in mind, maintenance is very high. Really, really high. And many of those are historical sites, so you can't also demolish and build a coffee shop. Although, again, I'm not really building my reputation this time, but anyway, although in Kyoto there are monastery bar. There are some Zen temples, they have bar. Fantastic, they're the best. It's really amazing. So beautiful, so just so artistic and I'm sure you have heard this, there are now monks who are running, Zen monks, not like a Theravada monks. The Zen monks, they have different, custom, different thinking. There are Zen bar, the monks mixing the drinks and all of that. Again, like the tattoo situation, I close one of my eye. Because Japanese Buddhism is declining, It's almost, probably my Japanese friends will be not happy hearing this from me. This is almost finished. If the follower of the Buddha, like myself, if we value Buddha's teaching, we need to let this wisdom survive. Not for us, generations. I mean, I'm already brainwashed. I'm sure if somebody with a gunpoint, like asking me to abandon Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I will say, yes, I abandon, but in my heart, I will not. But that's how it is. But it's our next generation. We need to really think about how they think. We need to. And as I was saying earlier, most of Buddhist leaders like myself, I think we are not necessarily doing the good job because we are so stuck with some of the ancient, not even Buddhism, ancient custom, ancient our Confucius values, I don't know, do the right thing values. And I don't know, and especially the Tibetans, they are busy teaching Singaporeans how to become Tibetan. One thing I'm telling you, Singaporeans, in this life, you will never ever become Tibetan. You can pretend you are, but you will not. But this is what the Tibetan Lamas do. They teach you how to speak Tibetan. They teach you how to read all the prayers in Tibetan, so on and so forth. But sadly, you will not become Tibetan. That's just biologically not possible. But enlightenment this lifetime, that's possible. As a Singaporean, as a Malaysian, as an Indonesian, that's possible. That's got nothing to do with the culture, right? Anyway, we have to think about the future. So with this in mind, I have been for years, actually really for years, 35 years, I think, I've been wanting to create curriculum for kids, sort of Buddhist wisdom-based, children's school and education curriculum, some sort of a system this has been one of the most difficult projects in my life. I mean, Kensei Foundation, we have 84,000. 84,000 is gigantic. It's like something that cannot be achieved within one life. But it still has, I mean, it at least has some sort of a direction. And, we are doing very good. I think, it's not me, it's these slaves. I get all the credit. I have this merit. I don't do anything. All the people, they do everything, and I get all the credit. This is my merit, I think. But anyway, for years, I've been trying to do this. And finally, I'm closing my eyes and really pumping in resources. So I managed to sort of set up one in New York. So there are kids, about 20 odd kids. By the way, I think except one, they're all non-Buddhist. But somehow they come to this kindergarten. And, there's always this Buddhists have this such a strange mind. We will have the Buddhist values, but we will not use Buddhism flag. Like we will not use I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with this. Look, Islam, Christianity, they go as Islam. This is Islam. I'm teaching Islam. This is Islamic school. This is Christian school. This is a Jewish school. But when it comes to Buddhism, we will only put the wisdom, but we will try to hide the fact that it's a Buddhist thing. We will not have the Buddha statue. We will not have the Buddha. Not so cowardly, I feel. So I've been quite upfront that this is a Buddhist thing. But of course, we are not unwelcoming non-Buddhists. In fact, we are very much welcoming, but we are also not trying to convert people becoming Buddhists. Buddhism always had this wisdom that could benefit next generation. So anyway, I've been doing that, but it's more like actually building a physical school. Now I'm nearing almost 60. Time is getting short, and most of us are busy building temples and sort of Buddhist-related thing. So we are racing against the time, so to speak. So with this in the mind, I've also started to create a curriculum so that can be introduced to schools, or so that if the certain schools can accept our kind of principles and directions and guide, our way of thinking, then we implement that as part of their curriculum, so on and so forth. And for some reason, karmic reason, I don't know, whatever, it's in Singapore, we are experimenting this. It's already quite a lot of work has been initiated. So that's happening. I want to just tell you this. With that, please, those who have taken refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, if you want to help maintaining Buddha Dharma, beside admiring this person called Buddha, please make babies. I mean it, because the Buddhist population is going down. From the, Pew's research, according to Pew's research, every 20 years, I think a million Buddhists going down. Christianity, of course, is going up. Islam very much going up. Such as India, for instance, in about 20 years, India will have, at the moment, Muslim is a minority. India has more Muslims than Pakistan, but it's still a sort of a Hindu country or a secular country. But in about 20, 30 years, there'll be more Muslims. Now, I'm not making any sort of a political judgment or anything here, but paradigm will change. When there are, paradigm will change a lot. Don't think about other things. Probably you'll have less hamburger. You know why? Because there's more Muslims. So there's a less hamburger, right? So paradigm in our lifestyle, life situation changes due to different ethnic situation, different religious situation, so on and so forth. Not that hamburger is so important, I'm not saying that. But life changes. So I just want to give you this information. Those who want to wish well, those who are curious about this, please bombard the questions to these people. They will, I think, hopefully they will answer. Before I close, I really appreciate many of you giving me gifts and all of that, but please, your gift, the best gift will be remembering the Buddha, liking the Buddha, admiring the Buddha. I don't even ask you to chant. I don't even ask you to pray. Download a photo of a Buddha on your phone. That will do for me. Even that's good enough. Just admire the Buddha. If you happen to have people who are ready to spend some time with you and listen to you, talk about Buddha Dharma. This is your gift for me. But nevertheless, many of you have already given me. I'm traveling all the time. I can't walk around with these things. So I've been very rude. I will be selling them. Many of them, you understand? So, and the proceed will go to the translating the words of the Buddha, 84,000. Thank you so much.
On behalf of all of us, let's put our hands together. Please make all your donations to online resources on 84,000 Kensei Foundation or everything else. But of course, we would definitely want to have that good merit and karma to have Rinpoche return to spend his valuable time to teach us in Singapore.
讲座已经进入尾声，感谢大家的参与，更要感谢仁波切抽出宝贵的时间为我们开示佛法，让我们获益匪浅。在此，请大家以最恭敬的心一同合掌，祈请仁波切尽快回到新加坡，再度为我们开示。